Hi again, guys. So in this video I'm going to talk about how to choose the best time of day and year for an optimum lighting of our scene. And first I'm just going to start with the basics, okay? So this little drawing illustrates the sun path during different times of year and throughout the day, okay? And by the way, this applies for the northern hemisphere. If you're living in the southern hemisphere, this is actually the opposite. So even if this sounds obvious to you, I think it's important to just remember and keep this in mind for our exercise just afterwards. So as you know, during summertime, the days are longer, and during wintertime, the days are shorter. But the most important thing for us here to know is that the sun is much higher during summertime and much lower during wintertime. So let's see now our model why this is important. If we take this little block that I actually just made for the sake of this exercise, very abstract and very basic. Okay, I'm taking a plan view and I'm activating the shadow. So we're around noon now and we're around October. Okay. If I take the sun much earlier, well, as you know, the sun rises in the east and the shadow is much longer and the shadow gets much shorter around noon because the sun goes higher. And same thing by the end of the day, shadows goes longer, sunsets in the west. All this is pretty obvious. But what's very important to notice is that in this time of year, this facade right there is never receiving light. So I'm gonna move the sliders again. This is the earliest you can get. And as you can see, only these facades are in the light. Okay. And as we move throughout the day and get to the latest, only these facades are in the light. So as I said, this one is never receiving light. And the only option you have in this case is go around summertime, because you know that the days are longer and the sun actually rises further north in this case. So if you take an early sun, now this facade is receiving light. So let's see this just in the axonometry. And again, if we're around October, activate the shadow. The earliest, this facade is still in the dark. And if we choose summertime and early morning, the facade is receiving light. Okay, so that's the very first important thing to know. And I believe it's very important because you really want to show your model in its best form. And sometimes you really want to emphasize a particular facade and you'd better put it in the sun, you know. So let's see the second most important thing. And I'm choosing this elevation, this facade here. And as you may have noticed, the wooden part is not in the same plane than this part, and we have balconies and so on. So this time I'm choosing a time during summertime, and let's see what happens if we travel throughout the day. And as you can see, the wooden facade is never receiving light. And this is obviously because of the balconies that are dropping shadows. Okay, as you can see, because the sun is higher. Remember, the sun is higher in summertime, so the angle of the shadows are also more vertical, so this facade is never receiving light. So in this case, in this scenario, what you can do is not choosing a different time of day, but choosing a different time of year as well. And now, as you can see, if you choose a winter time where the sun is much lower, now you can get some lighting on your facade, okay? So when you're gonna choose your angle of view, what you wanna do is emphasize the features of your design, right? And if like this facade here in this example is an important feature, then it will make a big difference if it's in the sun or in the shadow. See? So to me, these are the two most important points to keep in mind when choosing the best time of day and year. And in one of my next videos, what I'm going to show you is how to apply this in a more complex and contextualized model, and how to deal with more tricky situations and taking the right decisions. So see you right afterwards.